Hey guys, let's build a web application using Laravel or Laravel, whatever they call it. Anyways, my name is Vlad. I've been a web application developer for over 11 years now, and I want to help you build your first application. So we don't have much time. We've got a lot to do, so try to follow along. I'll also post this in the description, but basically you need a few things to get this to work right. The first thing we need is we need git bash or git or terminal, and basically this allows us to use a terminal. We're going to use a terminal quite a bit in our application. If you're not comfortable with this, you might not be comfortable building your own application. It's not a lot, but we'll do a few commands in there. Second thing we'll need is WAMP. It's Windows, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. This is an open source LAMP stack is what we call it. Linux, Ubuntu, or Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP for Linux. MAMP is freely available for Mac as well. It's very easy to use. Install these. Make sure you install 7.1 or 7.2 PHP. I won't show you this, but I will show you what it kind of looks like for Windows. It looks like this. Very simple, very easily configurable. And for Mac it's even easier, and it actually provides you the ports you need and everything. You also need to install Heidi SQL, and Heidi SQL is basically a client for MySQL, allows you to interact with it. Like I have one right here. I can actually close it, reopen it. Once you install it, you just basically say my host is, myself. You could say localhost or 127.0.0.1. For WAMP, it's going to be root with no password, and this is your port. For MAMP, I think your port's different, and it's root. And then you open it, and you basically have your own database here. After that, you'll need to get Composer. So these are all the things you need to install. So you set this up. By now you should be connected. So give that a try. Come back to this video and we'll continue it. Now that you're back, or if you're still here just watching for fun because you like the sound of my voice, then we need Composer. And Composer is basically a package manager for PHP. It's a lot of applications use it, but basically for Windows you can just install this, and if you're on a Mac, there's a different way to install it for a Mac. But basically, if you go to composer.org, you can see how to install it. Once that's installed, you're ready to install your latest version of Laravel. And with Laravel, if you go to documentation and go to installation or installing Laravel, you can install it with Composer just like that. So what I did is I actually write this out myself. Composer create project, and then prefer distribution Laravel, and you can copy and paste this too. And then you can say something like jokes, or this actually it's going to be jokes inventory. It's going to be our application, or it doesn't really matter what it's called. I don't really have a specific name for it, but let's just say let's build a little jokes inventory with a list of jokes, and you can add new ones. This will take quite a while. In the meantime, we need a database to house or store all our jokes. So go back to Heidi while that's loading, and right-click local, and click create new database. And here we'll say jokes. So that creates our jokes inventory. And we don't really need this right now. We're pretty much good to go for quite a while. We'll come back here eventually to check to make sure the stuff's entering here properly. But for the most part, I think with the database interactions for today, we're done. So you can just minimize that. So back here, while that's going, the next thing we'll need to do, this is still downloading, the next thing we'll need to do after database creation is we'll need to modify our environment file that comes with Laravel, and then we'll need to run our application. So I'm going to let this run, and I'll be right back. So it looks like it's done and actually created the application key set successfully. So you can go into that application you just created. So it's change directory into jokes inventory, and then now you can see I'm there, the jokes in. You can say ls, which is list, and you can do ls dash or hyphen la. That tells us everything's in there. We also have env right there. So now we can edit the environment file. So for this we'll need a code editor, or we can edit it ourselves too in Vim, so like this, and then we can actually see that our application name is Laravel, so we'll change this to equals, we'll call this jokes, and this is going to be our local environment. Debug is set to true, localhost is fine, log stack is fine. Our database, this is the correct host, this is the correct port. The database though is wrong, so we'll say jokes, and then the username is root, and then there is no password set. So we'll scroll down, check everything else out, make sure everything else is configured. This is all defaults, and then we'll hit escape, colon, right click, pound. Now we say PHP Artisan serve. And the moment we hit that, it says, okay, your application is being served on this link. So, actually, oops. Then you can go right here. We'll say localhost, and boom, here it is. Our application is live. They have some other. They just have a basic default page here. Let's actually make some modifications here. So let's remove this, maybe remove these items. We have a little bit of time. So for that we'll need an IDE. An IDE is basically what is it, interactive development environment, something like that. But basically it's a code editor. I use PHP Storm. It works really works really well with Laravel. So you'll open an existing project. Now that we've created one, you can go down to WAMP, www, go down to our new application. Here we go. Actually, it's not in users. Let's see. M64 www. There it is. It just took a little bit to load. So then you open it up and hit this little key, and then it shows you the entire application. So I want to take a little moment to talk a little bit about the anatomy of a Laravel project. So your main application is here. These are all your controllers and your models. In HTTP, your controllers, you can see your controller here. Middleware, your kernel, and then your user model, which will look something like this. Right now it's indexing, so it's going to be a little slow. So we'll go through some of this later. And then you have your public files. These are all publicly accessible files. You have your resources. These are your views. So it's a model view controller. So you have controller. So you have controller, model, and view. So in your resources, in your resources folder, there's a view folder. And you can double click that and you can see where it says Laravel right here. And that's basically this. So here you can change to basically say jokes. It's a little slow right now. My system is trying to catch up, so I think it's pretty close. So we don't need the rest of these. Keep that. Save that, and if you come back over here, refresh, boom, jokes. So that's it. So we've pretty much been able to install Laravel. Congrats. You're able to set up your database, which we're not using yet, but it's there. You were able to access your page through this port 8000, which you are running in a virtual terminal here, and you're able to install Composer and ID SQL, some form of a LAMP stack, and you also have Git Bash installed. So you're pretty much there. The next video will be authentication and login. So we'll create a dashboard where first people come to your website, then they register, log in, and then they can access their own dashboard. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or issues setting this up. I have successfully set this up on Linux, Mac, and Windows machines, so I could probably help you out.